Oh. Yeah, okay. Oh, we are going to start at the end of the second line on page 88. So to keep continuity, I'm going to repeat, I'll bring forth the linking aspect that connects us to what you were discussing before. We're discussing Chochmah and Bina, or Chochmah and Seichel and Midas. And we said Seichel primarily there are two primary koches in Seichel, Chochmah and Bina. Both are categorically above Midas. Both Chochmah and Bina apply themselves. They attach themselves to what's called the Etzem Hadavar, the essential aspect. Essential does not mean important. It's necessary. Essential means the something that is an essence. The principle of essence we discussed, we tried to discuss it. It's a very, very difficult thing for us to understand the whole principle of an essence. Suffices to say, or at least just a reminder of what we have said, that the entire phenomenon of essence exists is not in part of the world. It is there because of the world's creation. It is the creator's contribution to the creation. That contribution within the creation parameters, it's completely elusive. Elusive. We've used many illustrations for this. Lately, talking to some other people, pointed out, I think maybe the class also mentioned, I'm not sure. When God created light, even when we spoke about this light, so it's very special light and so forth. At the end of all that, it says that Hashem named light day. And I'd like that we should think into this. What is the significance of this naming day? It's a pasuk in the Torah. What happened as a result of naming the light day? Anybody has any reaction to that? I don't expect it. This.
Yeah. it's associated to Hashem.
How is it associated to Hashem?
Hashem identified it. He said, "This is what I gave to you."
No, so if Hashem called light, light.
He didn't call it light, I guess. Right? It's for the world.
Okay.
I created this for the world. At the same time, it's still
My
God.
question is not why Hashem named it. My question is, what is naming day stand for? What is day? The whole concept of day stand for?
It's giving.
Huh?
It's giving a new substance to the light.
What is it? What is the substance of it? And then it's adding to the light. So the principle to understand it, focusing on this, is this. Light is a worldly phenomenon. What does it mean, worldly phenomenon? It has worldly parameters. It shines and it illuminates, and I know what it stands for. As a matter of fact, we have the ability to create artificial light. We have electric lights, and then also it's also light. It's not light that the daylight, but it's light. That is something which we can readily understand from a worldly perspective what that stands for. In other words, light is a relative presence. It is not an etzem. It's not an essential presence. It's a presence that has an effect. What is an effect? It makes things visible. It counters darkness. It's a functional presence. By definition, it's a functional thing. Whereas day is not a functional entity. The word day does not allude to any function. This is what's called an essence.
To remain on this call, press 1.
Should we give him another chance?
Returning to the conference room.
Only once. Pardon me. So, day, we can readily, by contrast to light, we can readily focus in and understand that there is something very specific, very different. It's a different realm, a different category of being than light. Day is an entity unto itself. It's not to counter darkness. It's an entity unto itself. Whereas light is a relative presence. It is to counter darkness, to give you the function of sight, of visibility. So that is, in the world, from a worldly perspective, everything we can understand in the world is everything is illusive. In other words, how can we have this? Because we need this. Everything has a prerequisite, a functional developmental process. We have a table because we have a cup of water. We have to be able to put it down. So we make a table. We point out that actually the table is a concept that comes from deep in the nefesh or other, and in that respect it is not just a functional thing. But that is something which is much deeper, and speaking of the table from a neshama perspective rather than from a worldly perspective. Similarly, day and light. Light is a worldly concept. Can be readily understood in the world, not what it is and how it functions, but why is it there?
But isn't day countering night?
Excuse me?
Isn't day countering
No,
night?
no. Day is an entity unto itself. They exist in two separate realms.
It's like night, it's
Domains.
not countering day.
Yeah, what?
It's like night, it's not countering day.
That's right. Vayikra Elokim la'oir yoim. This is a pasuk in the Torah. If you don't understand fully the words I'm saying, please tell me. Vayikra Elokim la'oir yoim v'la'choshech kora loyla. Choshech was there before. As soon as the world was created, it said v'choshech ha'pnezim, there was darkness. So that is part and parcel of the makeup of the world, the presence of the world. And yet, the Rebbe should give it a name, and the name is not darkness. The name is light, night. So we all see there's something significant in it. Do we agree with that? Now, to the significance. Both of these, day and night, are concepts within the godly purview, not on the worldly purview. Light and darkness are worldly purview, and they came automatic. Night and day is a godly contribution to the world. God named it to say, yes, it has a godly significance. The world now has an element of a godly significance, and it's called night and day. As a result of that, just to give you a little expansion, as a result of that, there are things, godly things, mitzvahs, that can only be performed by day and cannot be performed by night. It's the same day and the same time. Why not? And yet, that's the rule. It's a godly rule.
And we have Yom Tov.
Sorry?
Yom Tov obviously is also a different reality. Shabbos, Yom Tov.
Yeah,
That's mixed with Hashem.
that's right. I brought this in because this is something which is so clear to us. There was darkness, it became light, and the Rebbe should then turn around and made light day. It brings right back to us that there is something significant in the word day. And really, if you think about it, and that's the point which I want you to think about. What is day contribute to the world? Light makes sense. What's the point of calling it day from a worldly perspective? It's not an entity, it's not a worldly entity. Light is a worldly entity. It counters darkness. Day It's not the worldly element.
So to bring in the world, that it's not completely worldly.
Right. So that's the point. That this is a godly input into the world. It's not part of world itself. It has no worldly presence.
I missed the Vayikra Elokim lo oir yom v'lachosh achur eloim. I missed that first part.
That's what we're discussing. So this,
No,
Hashem called oir day. So the question is, why and what's the significance of it?
Lo oir means the sunlight. Or
Yeah, light, whatever it is. Light that is not darkness. Hi oir. So oir, they didn't name oir. So the hi oir, and oir automatically got on its place and has its name. What is it? It illuminates darkness. Oir is oir. They call it day. Day is an error concept. Day is not an entity. It has no presence. What then is the meaning Hashem called it day? As you said, this is giving the world a godly imprint.
but something happened when Hashem called it yom. It's the same with oir before Hashem called it yom.
No. Before it was exclusively world. Now it became world with a godly input, presence. They called it day.
So before the day was illuminating darkness.
No, there was no day. The world doesn't have day. The world has light. That's it.
Okay, so what message does the word Lila convey?
The same thing. Lila is not just darkness that you cannot see your way. It's a state of being.
But it's also is it the absence or the hiddenness of God, or is it a different expression of God?
This is much more difficult than the day part. So I don't know if you want to go
fair
there.
enough. Fair enough.
But nonetheless, it is clear that God named Choshech Laila, which means Laila is also a true entity, even though all it is Choshech. Just like day is only light, and yet there is some kind of special contribution to it. All of this discussion is for the purpose of us being able to somehow relate to a concept that's called an essence. 2 points. In the world per se, there is no essence. Everything is just a relative functional presence. Light and dark. An essence is something which is a godly contribution, it's a godly presence. You can imagine there is an infinite amount to talk about this. But since we're learning about etzem, this came handy. This is a good means to reflect and to refer to the whole concept of essence. And the Rebbe says that we have various faculties, God-given faculties. Amongst them, the faculties of the brain, of the mind. And there's also the heart. The mind and the heart are not only are they apart, but they have different worlds that they function in. And the Rebbe said in the previous section that the mind principally, the central point of the mind is that it relates to the etzem. It relates to the etzem, not to a functional aspect. And the Rebbe points out in the previous section that in the etzem there cannot be any hasoga, because hasoga, grasp, pertains to ktobim, so it pertains to something that can be described in an expense in space and time. The essence does not have that element. And here is the example. Light, everybody can understand very clearly what light is. But day defies explanation. Having said that, the Rebbe says that in fact, Chochmah, which is the supreme element within the Menachem, within the intellect, that directly relates to that essence. That's what it seeks out to. In other words, Chochmah is not aroused by some kind of an activity, something occurred, and curiosity. That's not Chochmah. Chochmah is that which you see verbatim, directly. There are no hasoga, no means of describing Chochmah. There's no means. It doesn't have these elements. Taking this a step further, Rebbe says, this is the point that we say elsewhere, and the Rebbe now is going to discuss it here, that moichin are l'mayla mihishtalshuls. That moichin are above hishtalshuls, above the phenomenon of hishtalshuls. Hishtalshuls means chaining down, where one thing causes another thing. It's a chain reaction. Moichin are above hishtalshuls. And this is what we're discussing right now. The Rebbe starts off by saying, hishtalshuls clearly is the principle of all. How do things chain down and react? There's illusive, there's the causative, and the result. Something causes it, and the cause, and the result in an effect. It's an illusive. Like light, you shine a light. As a result of that, you could see. But day is not a participant in that. It's not part of the illusive, it's above illusive, above the whole phenomenon. And this is what we're discussing. The whole phenomenon of illusive, the Rebbe says,
but don't we say that Chochmah is in the Shtalshalis already, Keser is above the Shtalshalis.
Yes. We don't say Chochmah is in Ishtalshuls. We say that Chochmah is part of the creation. Keser is above the creation. Keser belongs to the Creator, as we shall see. And Chochmah is within the creation. This is one of the divine miracles, that in the creation itself there is an aspect that's called Chochmah. How can the creation, that Chochmah relates to the Etzem? What does Etzem have to do with the creation? What does he know about it? This is a Creator's effect on the creation. It's a special gift to raise the creation to a point where it should have godly perspectives. It should also relate to something real. That's it. This is why Chochmah is called a mamutza, the intermediary, the one that connects the Ma'al Mishlasha to Mishlasha, the Creator to the creation. This is the bridge. Right.
Same thing we learn now on Yom.
What?
Same thing we learn now on Yom, on day.
Suffice it to what is being said. There's always a to expand something.
Yeah, that was an example.
So the Rebbe says that Chochmah is l'mayla mishtalshalos, and he goes on to explain what does it mean it's l'mayla mishtalshalos. Principally, Yisrael is ilu be'olam, and the ilu be'olam is such a structure that does not lend itself to go into Chochmah. And the Rebbe explains in detail, so to speak, what is it that distinguishes ilu be'olam from Chochmah. So he says, because the inyan let's do it inside again, and now the last words on page Peches. The inyan ilu be'olam hu ve-zeh-inyan. The phenomenon of Ilu comes and is affected by ve-zeh-inyan in two manners. Or either sheha'olul hu mahus acher meho'ilah, that the olul is a different mahus, a different reality than the ilah. Rak, except Shenimtzo kolu b'ho'ilah. It is present in the ilah something which is not the ilah, which is of a different reality. V'neilad al yodai, and ultimately it comes forth and it's born as through the process, through the gift of the ilah. The ilah gives birth to the yodai. It's a mahus acher. It's a different reality completely, but it is inherently present in the ilah, and ultimately the ilah gives birth to this soul. This is one example. mode of that of the effect of the process of illusive. Or at the end of the top line on p88, sheha'olul hu ha'ora min ha'ila. That the olul is not a separate, a different reality. It is of the same ilk, so to speak. But it's only ha'ora of the ila.
Will it shall fit into this?
Huh?
Which of the two, on which category would a child fit into? Child from a parent.
You're too fast for me. The olul is a ha'ora min ha'ila. It is of the same reality, but it's a separate creation. It's a ha'ora. It reflects the ila. It is not contained within the ila. It's created outside because it's a ha'ora. Umistayef mimen. I didn't want to answer you because everything be much better off learning inside. Umistayef mimen, and it develops from it, from the ila. It's an add-on to the ila in a certain way. That's why this is the ila. This is the cause. But it's not something that is contained within the ilo and now it is revealed itself. It's something which is reflective of the ilo itself, but in a different level. It's not it's not the ilo itself. It's a ha'ora of the ilo. The Rebbe goes on and discusses the second variation. Like the branch that is mistayef, that develops, that is add on, and it adds itself onto the ilo. Onaf, a branch.
That's not. It's an of. I thought onaf was a leaf.
No, onaf is a branch. Anofim. A tree has many anofim. And what is this? The onaf. The onaf is really, it's not a mahusachim. Onaf is totally reflective of the tree. It's of the same ilk, the same function as a tree.
So
But it grows out of the tree.
So we're comparing Ila Arur to the branch and the tree and the branch?
What?
Is that what you're
Right. Ilo ve'olo, the tree is like the ilo for the branch. And the branch is the olo. But the difference between the branch and the tree is very little. It's exactly the same thing, except it comes from it. It's an ilo ve'olo. How do you correlate? How do you describe the relationship? One is the etzem, one is the ha'ora.
Is the branch able to make another branch?
Yeah, sure. After it becomes a tree, because it has the same mahus. When the tree thickens, it grows within its own machias. It becomes thicker and bigger and bigger in itself. The same tree trunk. That's not called an olive. That's not a creation. It's not an additional expression of the coming from the tree. But when the tree produces a branch, the branch is a ha'ora of the tree. The thickness is not the ha'ora of the tree. That's just the tree. The branch is a ha'orah tree. All right. We have to stop here now. Have a great day.
כסיב וחסים התל ולשון התל ונסוקה.
AYIN